Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Pre-Summit Insights webinar series. This is Josh Koza, the Client Experience Manager here at the Exit Planning Institute. I want to apologize for just a couple-minute delay there, just a couple of technical issues we were working through, but appreciate your patience and sticking around, and we're excited to kick things off. Today we have John Dini presenting from the ExitMap. And many of you may be familiar with John and the ExitMap if you were at last year's summit. They were a partner in last year's event and will be again this year. Also exciting this year that John actually himself completed the SEPA training program. So he is a SEPA as well as a partner of the Institute. I'll let him do a little bit more of an introduction to himself and the firm and the product shortly, but just a couple quick housekeeping notes. This webinar is being recorded, so after we're concluded for the day, I will place a recording of this up into the Member Center. So those of you that are SEPAs will be able to access and view a recording there. If you're not a SEPA and don't have Member Center access, feel free to email me. We can get you a copy of the recording as well. I also, John requested that we be able to send the slide deck out to the attendees and participants after we're finished today, so I will be distributing that around to all of you as well, so keep an eye out for that. And finally, everyone is muted today, so if you do have a question, certainly type those into the question box or the chat box in the GoToWebinar control panel. I'll be monitoring those, and we'll pose those questions to John at the conclusion of his presentation portion for today. So in the interest of time, I will step back here and turn things over to John. John, welcome.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. And good morning or good afternoon, depending upon where you are. And thanks to Josh, especially for describing the technical glitches, which actually were operator errors. So my apologies for that. We're going to talk today about using the ExitMap. Many of you have seen it. We'll do a quick review of what it is and how we use it to generate referrals. I have not marketed my practice through anything but referral sources for the last 3 or 4 years probably. I've been an exit planner for 10 years almost. I have been a coach to business owners for over 20, about 22 years now. So all our tools come from a coaching perspective, come from a working with the owner perspective. We don't have an exit planning process or software that is EPI's world and Mouse's world and a little bit of John Warlow's world. We are about connecting with the owner, getting them to make an engagement decision, and then walking them through both the personal and business exercises they have to have. But we also find that this is excellent for working with referral sources. Quick overview of the engagement system. The objective is to attract, qualify, and engage business owners to an advisory engagement. We are profession neutral. I'll talk about that in a second. Attracting is the first thing. How do you market when you're too busy helping clients to market? We have unlimited free online assessments, branded reports. The assessments are 12-page summary. The advisory reports are 40-page detailed breakdowns of the client's answers. The assessment is designed to be done in 15 minutes online. It is a very, very easy second step for a prospective client. We also maintain a lead generation site with a map where you can find our advisors, and any assessments that come through that site, 100% of them are referred out to our advisors. We believe that if we find you good clients that you didn't know about before, you're probably going to like us a lot better. Just a guess. We also have this little green arrow up the top at Awake at 2 o'clock in the morning. I've written this blog for 11 years. For the last 2 or 3, it's been exit planning only topics. And as you can see, We have the same widget that we use with our affiliates up in the corner there. So really the only place to go if you're reading the blog, which gets reposted all over the internet, if you want to go further, it's to the assessment. And again, the assessment's referred out. Also in attracting new prospects, we have lots of other marketing tools on the site. We have books as leave behinds and giveaways, letters, infographics. We have a list that's coming up here right now. There's a marketing manual to help you use it. Trifolds that you can customize, and PowerPoint presentations on the web that you can download and use some or all as the core if you have a Rotary presentation or a business group presentation. Qualifying. The big thing is when you get an assessment, and how do you know whether this is somebody that it's worth it to put some time and energy into? And the assessments give you enough information so that excuse me, so that you can look over the company and the issues of the prospect and decide in a simple phone call whether this person is someone worth working with, whether you just want to give them a telephone debriefing as a courtesy, whether you want to take one courtesy visit with them to see if anything comes out of it, or whether you're going to set up an appointment to do a full debriefing using the advisory reports to try and land a substantial engagement with them. When you engage, you debrief. We have the analysis, which is the client's response by response feedback, the action plan, which is the advisor's response by response feedback, plus it's got hints and tips about what kind of consulting work can deal with this pain on the client's behalf, and then the snapshot. And the snapshot's designed to allow you to do a debriefing based around your skills. So whether you're an accountant or an attorney or a financial planner, you can focus on the 4 or 5 areas that you are best able to help the client. The advisor's guide is an indexed topic by topic walkthrough of the 6 videos we have, which are all sales training. They're not exit planning training or financial training, they're sales training. So also when we engage a client after they've signed an engagement, we have a lot of coaching tools that I've developed for my own coaching practice with business owners. So helping them develop a personal vision, the owner centricity quiz. We know owner centricity kills value. So we test all our clients to see how dependent their company is on their own personal presence on a day-by-day basis. The seller sanity check. If you've ever had a seller with an unrealistic opinion of the value of his company, this is a non-confrontational way to just plug it into a third-party spreadsheet and say, gee, that seems a little high. The return on investment for the price you plan compared to your cash flow is like a negative 40%. Probably nobody's going to pay that. And other tools. These 3 tools come for every registered advisor along with the unlimited free assessments. So if you go to exitmap.com, you take a test drive, you will have access to these tools and these assessments. The next step would be to be an affiliate. Okay, we are not a planning system. We are just an on-ramp to start the conversation. As I started to say before, accountants, attorneys, financial planners, consultants, and coaches all use it. We have people that are certified in EOS, in Value Builder, people that use Mouse. We have people that use BEI systems and DPI systems and BizEquity. All of those are present with various ExitMap affiliates who use the ExitMap as the front end to bring prospects in and qualify them. Now, to the meat of the presentation here, referrals. We know that the best way to build your advisor network is to give and get referrals. People love getting business and people love getting help for their clients. When you get a referral from another practitioner, It's a trusted advisor transferring their relationship. I had an initial meeting with two owners yesterday in a construction company, not very big, it's at 11 or $12 million, but their banker, they went to their banker. Their bank had a luncheon where somebody spoke, wasn't me, somebody spoke about exit planning, and they said they put the idea in their head. It was about 8 or 9 months ago. They were negotiating a renewal of their credit line, and they asked their banker, they said, you know, you talked to us about exit planning. What should we be doing about that? And he said, oh, you want to talk to John Dini. He's the guy. He helps lots of companies, and he'll be happy to sit down and talk with you. There was no question from the moment I walked in the room and started talking to them that they were going to engage me to develop an exit plan for them, because their banker of the last 30 years told them that they needed me to develop an exit plan for them. It is by far the strongest way to meet with a client. So how do you get people to refer like that to you? There are obstacles. Single specialty advisors think they do exit planning. Those of us that do comprehensive exit planning and specialize in it run into this all the time. You have tax specialists that say, well, it's all about taxes, or it's all about personal finance, or it's all about estate planning. And they really don't understand a comprehensive approach. It's not that they're arguing about what you do, but they don't see where you, as a comprehensive planner, add a whole lot to the specialty that they already bring to the table. So they need to be educated. We want to demonstrate a comprehensive approach to them. We want to include them in the process, and we want to make them understand that when we come in to do exit planning for a client, they are going to do more business with the client. There's no doubt about it. I can't tell you how many times an attorney, I've called up an attorney and I've sent them the confidentiality letter. I've said, I'm working with your client. It's signed by the client. It says it's okay to share this information with me, and they kind of bark at me and they go, what are you doing? I can do all this stuff for him. If he needs restructuring, I can restructure. If he needs employment agreements, I can do employment agreements. I go, yes, yes, yes. And you will. You'll still do that. As a matter of fact, I'm a little embarrassed because as a coach, I know what's going to happen is I am going to be talking your client into doing what you've been telling him to do for the last 5 years. And I'm not trying to step on your toes, but he's going to do it because he's working with me now, and you're going to do the work. And I go, yeah, sure. And then I talk to him again a month later. I go, okay, we've been through the plan. This is what I'm going to need. I need a non-qualified deferred compensation plan. I need new employment agreements. They've got to restructure their buy-sell. They need to open a subsidiary leasing company. The attorney loves me, right? Anybody loves somebody that gives them more business. So how do we convince them that it's safe to work with us? Well, we suggest they have their client take the ExitMap assessment. Remember, they're free and they're unlimited. So we give them a link to our website. Of course, my consulting company has its own branded website, which we do for many of our affiliates. And we have them take the ExitMap assessment, and I'll do the debriefing in the advisor's office. This is a strong debriefing and a full debriefing. This isn't just a courtesy meeting, although if they're not qualified, and they do, sometimes I'll get a little dry cleaner or something. I'll just do a courtesy debriefing while I'll go to the advisor's office. But if we do it in the office of the advisor, the attorney or the CPA in our case, or financial planner, because we don't compete with any of those, number one, they're on their home ground. They're safe. They're not worried that you're trying to take their client off and tell them something that they don't agree with or that they won't hear. They love being able to sit there and hear how you deal with it. The client is safe. The client has been to their office before. The client knows that their trusted advisor is not inviting them to the office to have this meeting so that he can do something bad to them. And then Post-meeting, we're going to have a discussion in the advisor's office about what their role in the planning is going to be. If your client engages me, I know you can do this and this and this. Is there anything else that you want to be involved in? And of course, most of these people, they're fee-based or they're hourly based, and I am flat fee-based. So there's no conflict there too, because they're going to do more hours doesn't mean necessarily that I'm going to do less. So it's a friendly meeting. It's a transfer of the trust of the advisor to me that I can go forward without it. They are confident that their client's being taken care of appropriately. And the best part of it is the end of the meeting almost always winds up with the advisor turning to me and saying, you know, I have another client that needs to talk to you. So we're starting to educate them on the advantages of a team approach, of how it can be more lucrative to share with other advisors than just try and go it alone. It establishes you as the advisor's exit planning resource. You know, when you tell them that you're bringing them more work, I can assure you they're not going to call anybody else the next time a client mentions exit planning. They're only going to call you. The client now has a trusted exit planning resource. We all know, I mean, the saying is sooner or later, every owner leaves their business, right? So we all know that if they don't decide to move forward with planning today, they will at some point. And now they have your information. They can call you directly and say, hey, it's time for me. It requires only 1 hour of your time to build a new referral relationship. It is very inexpensive. It's sticky. It's long lasting. And the other advisor has shown to their client that they have access to expertise and that they can bring the people in that they need to help them in situations even where that advisor can help them personally. So it's a real strong circle that continues and connects all the way around, and everybody does well from it. It's a win-win-win situation. If you don't want to do one-on-ones, if you're too pressed for time, or you can't invest an hour, or you can't get somebody to invite you to meet with their client in their office, the second option is educating in a group, and we've done this too, and it works. We invite advisors to a lunch and learn. We have them take a free assessment beforehand so that they see what the reports look like. We will run a test drive. In this case, you would have them go take an advisor test drive so that we can get them the samples of the 2 advisor reports as well, so that they see everything. And then you can walk through in the lunch and learn of how you work with their clients. A lot of new affiliates ask us, well, gee, what if they want to become ExitMap affiliates and be able to do these assessments with their clients themselves? Fine, because if you're the exit planner, or if you're the CPA that's doing exit planning, and you're working with an attorney and you're working with financial planners, and they want to bring in more clients and market to more clients using the ExitMap, who are they going to use when it comes to the CPA work? So again, you're educating them on the value of a team and how a group of professionals can market much more effectively and with far better results than anybody or everybody just doing it themselves. The other thing I want to mention especially, and I talked about the new client I got yesterday, is banks. Bankers are excellent partners. Exit planning is the circle of life for banks, and they really don't get it until somebody sits down and talks to them about it. Number one, they can fund acquisitions. They can, when somebody either internal or external is going to buy a company, the bank can lend the money for it. They can pre-qualify lending limits and structures. If the client you're working with intends to sell to a third party, he can get a realistic opinion from the bank. They can look at his company and say, well, if a buyer came in who had X, the following resources, this kind of down payment, this kind of experience, we would be willing to lend up to this much. And it really secures their selling price for them. ESOP or MBO lending, where the bank has a seller subordinated debt to help secure what they're doing, or an SBA guarantee. All those are on the lending side, and that's great. But then we turn around, and the best candidates for this are community banks that have both commercial lending and wealth management capabilities, because then they get the wealth management proceeds. That's what I mean about the circle of life. They sell a company, they finance $5 million for the sale of the company, and then the owner turns around and puts $5 million back into the bank's wealth management department. They just turned $5 million worth of assets into $10 million worth of assets. And in an internal transfer, they have a new relationship with the next generation of owners. Really, really important and strong to a bank. They're worried about this all the time as the owners, the baby boomers, 60% of the owners in the United States age. The banks are becoming very aware that a change of control, whether it's to employees or to family, frequently, very frequently makes for a change in banking relationships. And they want the opportunity to be in there before the old owner exits, to be able to work with the next generation of ownership and keep that client for the next 20 years. So if you're not working with banks and you're not using banks as a referral source, use the ExitMap or use something else, but really get out there to the banks, meet with the lending officers one-on-one, and show them the capabilities of exit planning for building their business, and they will thank you for it. I'm winding up. I told folks I'd only be about a half hour today, and it looks like I ran even a little less. But we're a simple product. We're a marketing and sales tool. We are not a complex system. So we have 3 levels: unlimited free assessments for registered advisors, no cost to use them. You can try before you buy. You will get generic reports that just say the ExitMap on them, but we can get them to you and to your client if you give us a heads up when you're utilizing them. Then basic pay-per-use affiliates still have unlimited free assessments. You purchase codes to generate the branded advisor reports. You have access to the coaching tools, and that's all included. And then finally, the custom web pages, if you want all reports to come out with your logo and your contact information on it. And special messaging, we do branded pages we have them for bankers, and we also do them for wealth managers where they have compliance requirements and special language. This is not stock advice, this is not tax advice, Section 130 type stuff, all on the custom branded reports. So I look forward to seeing you at the conference, at the summit, and we will have a great time. Nashville's a terrific town, and if you have any questions, please ask Josh, or my contact information is right there. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, John. I appreciate that. And if anyone has a question now, feel free to type it in as we wrap up for today. But again, if you don't have them now, or you think of them, you can certainly visit with John at the Exit Planning Summit in September in Nashville. Looks like we do have a question. Hey, John, would you mind talking through the pricing model for affiliates a little more?
Our basic pricing is $495. It is one time. We don't have continuing education. We don't have certification. We are a tool, not a consulting process. And that is a one-time $495 for the setup. And then if you want to buy codes, you get 3 codes automatically when you sign up. But if you want, and the codes, each code will get you the 2 reports, the 2 40-page reports that go with it. And then the only additional cost is if you want reports, they run about $150 each. There's a tiered pricing. I think it starts at $189 for a set to buy 1 at a time, and it gets down to about $130 if you buy 10 at a time. Or if you have a subscription for a branded page, there's one that gives you a discount on all your codes, and then there's one. The highest priced product we have is $249 a month for a branded custom page with unlimited advisory reports.
Okay, thanks. And then question came in, looks like they're just looking to understand, when you do your exit planning and your consulting practice, do you charge clients hourly or like a flat engagement fee? What's your structure, I guess, for that?
We charge a two-phase engagement fee. Phase one is to develop the strategy. It's heavy interviewing with the owner. If they want to do an internal transition, it also involves interviewing the key employees, looking at the financials, doing some projections. We don't do valuations. We send those out. We're strictly strategic planners, and that's usually 3 to 6 months and $12,000 to $15,000 in fee. And then the second phase is implementation, and that can go anywhere. I have some that thanks to Chris's sharing in the SEPA program, I now have clients that I have on monthly retainers for long-term development. I have others last year I did a couple big projects, ESOP type projects, and my fees for that were in the mid 5 figures for implementation. And then we have others where implementation is just going to be helping them make sure that all the legal, like say a partner buyout, where all we're doing is helping them make sure that all the legal documents are in place and that the buy-sell has been rewritten and everything. And that would probably be about the same cost as a phase one.
Okay. And then if anyone has more specific questions on how you price or what you're charging, they can contact you on that, I suppose.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
And then question about the pricing of ExitMap. Is there a pricing page online where people can go see a breakdown, or what's the best way to obtain that?
Sure. You go to exitmap.com. There's a matrix of the prices and the benefits right on the first page. As far as pricing debriefings go, I do free debriefings. I figure just about, certainly if there's a referral source involved, I'm not going to try and charge anything. But I'll even go out for an hour with an unqualified client, somebody who just has a business where they're trying to make a living. I'll spend an hour with them, and you'd be surprised how many of those turn into referrals in mid-market companies where they're talking to a friend with a much larger organization. And they say, well, I went to visit this guy and he sat down with me and he told me a lot of stuff that was really great and he never even charged me. So, you kind of get that transfer of trust from them. But we do have affiliates that charge for a debriefing. They'll send the 12-page summary report, and then they'll say, and if you want us to come out and talk to you about it, it'll be $1,200 or $1,500, somewhere in there.
Okay, great. Well, it looks like that's the end of the questions that came in. So I want to thank John again for his time in the presentation today. I want to thank all of you for logging in and participating. I hope to see you at the summit in September. But again, if you have additional questions on today's content, feel free to reach out to myself here at EPI or directly to John. Happy to facilitate those conversations as well. I'll distribute a recording of this webinar shortly this afternoon, as well as a copy of the slide deck. So with that, we'll wind things down. Thank you again. Thanks, John, and talk to everyone soon.
Okay, see you soon, Josh. Thanks a lot.